Yep. And then please do use the mic because apparently it's hard to hear what they put in the new audio
Do I
system.
have to push anything? Oh, no, I mean, I don't have to push
Oh,
it.
good.
Top. Okay, so it's not.
And if it dies, that will fix it too.
Okay, so when do we start?
You can start whenever.
Okay.
Let's go.
An audience today.
Okay, that's fine. If you want to move up. Okay, Kirsten, I see that you're on, and I don't know your name.
Call me Boom.
Boom?
Yeah.
Boom. Okay, I'm Marsha Snyder. Kirsten, can you hear me?
Her audio is kind of not connecting.
Okay, I just want to know, she's a new agent?
Mhm.
She's a new agent, so have you done any closings, any deals yet?
Yes, you have.
It's a lease, you know.
It's
something.
still something. It gets you in there.
You know.
So has Kristen done anything yet? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, perfect. Okay, so we're going to be brand new at this. Okay, so what we're doing right now today in Ignite is your value proposition. Basically, what they're saying is focusing on you and what you bring to your customers. It's, I hate using a microphone for one person. Hi.
Hi.
And what's your name?
Ryan.
Ryan. Okay. I'm putting everybody's name down so I can. Okay. Marsha Snyder. I've been with this company 12 years, might be 13 now. I was Century 21 before, but only for a year. So I've spent most of my career here. I'm in the back there, so I don't see a lot of you. So y'all can always come by and say hi. I'm next to Mark Tyrone and then Terry's new office, the Fish Bowl. I'm back there against the wall. I was telling them today what we're studying is that delivering your value proposition. And this is what you bring to the table for your clients. It's how you earn your commission. They're going to want to know, why should we hire you? Why can't we just go to Redfin and pay 1% to list our home and then we get money back when we close? Or why can't we iBuy and hopefully get the best deal? Or why can't we do for sale by owner and I'll sell it myself? So you have to be able to say, no, you need to go with me, and this is why. And believe me, they do ask when you do, and you don't want to be tongue-tied because I've done that before. So you want to know. So first, we're going to learn in this class, define your value proposition, the 3 aspects of service, know and state your value, and deliver your value. So you're going to have to really be able to articulate it to them, let them know, and it could be friends. I am referral based only, it seems. I've done all my numbers, it seems referral based. So it's friends, relatives, their friends. I still have to do a listing presentation with every one of them and let them know what they can get out of me without going somewhere else and getting a cheaper discount. So every time. Okay, so what they want to say is what successful agents do every day to grow their business. They lead generate, both buyers and sellers, make seller listing presentations, get listing, make buyer presentation, get listings, and preview real estate. Right now, we really can't preview real estate except online. It's a little bit difficult when you're a new agent and you're like, where are my buyers and sellers going to come from? So, yes.
So if we can we just walk into the home and then look at it? Is it possible?
It depends on the listing agent because you do have to sign paperwork. You have to sign the PED.
Yeah.
A lot of the listings I've noticed recently, they don't want you in unless you have a pre-approval letter and proof of funds. That's what I'm running into. So they won't even let me in to see it. They say we have done a virtual tour, take the virtual tour, even though we all know that the photos you see are not what you see in person a lot of times. But they're just trying to make sure that their client is safe. If it is something that is vacant, you might be able to ask them if they would let you in. It was mainly up to the agent to do that. Yeah. Okay, so define your value, 3 aspects of service, know and state your value, and deliver your value. Okay, so that's what we're going to be discussing today. Okay, so the value proposition is simple and precise. Description is the benefits the customer gets from working with you. Okay, you should clearly convey everything that you're going to do. What are some of the things that you think that you should do, like when you're sitting down and you're trying to get, which do you think you'd work with more, buyers or sellers? Sellers, okay, so you're working with a seller and you go in and they're like, why should I work with you? Why shouldn't I go and get, Tom Schmo, what buy, you sell that does it for 1%? What are you bringing to the table? What would you say?
I probably go over like specifically like the marketing plan, specifically on social media and how we're finding a lot of buyers from social media and how like I know a lot about how the algorithm works and how I can bring in a buyer rather easily compared to other agents. And then I can also talk about the fact that like, because I know the area so well, because I'm an expert in the area, I can really price your home correctly and get the most amount of value for what you're looking for.
Perfect. Okay, so do you work with tech then? More than, perfect, that's good. Okay, so how is this going to help you convert your lead to a contract, knowing your value proposition, knowing what you're telling them? Value proposition to me is, what am I going to do for you? So when I go in, I always go, I have your best interests at heart. I'm going to make this the smoothest transaction, sort of like an airplane. When you hit turbulence, a little bump, I'm not going to say anything to you. When the masks start coming down, I might have to ask your opinion. Other than that, you're going to think this was really easy and I did not earn my commission. But that's the job that I take. I take the worrying out of it and I take the stress. I'm bringing you, I know the area. I'm going to bring you every comp. I can tell you where to price your house, where it should be. The ultimate decision lies with you of where you want it to be. Because I promise you, listings right now, they think mine was trying to go 100,000 over over the value. I said, I can only tell you where to go. And if you decide to go higher, then we need to revisit in five to 7 days if it has not sold, if you do not have offers. So that's part of the value proposition that I do. I try and stay very informed. Every Monday I call them and tell them who've seen the house and what they said about the house. And in the beginning, I didn't want to tell them the ugly aspects of what they said. And I decided you really do have to get them to listen to you. Okay, so we have 3 aspects of service in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Gary noted that every top producing agent spoke and had a deep and almost inherent sense of service. So your client always comes first. You cannot grow a real estate business if you don't I'm not doing it right. Your client's experience above all ever else. A stellar experience is how you earn your commission and referrals. I also, at the end of every transaction, I send out an email to my clients with Yelp, Realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin, and Google. And I said, please review me. So it's a way of keeping me in check, is what I told them. I can't take those back. So the 3 aspects: purpose, value proposition, and fiduciary. Okay. So they want us to go over what is the underlying purpose of real estate, and it's different for buyers and sellers. So what do you think it is for buyers? What do they want?
Are they like
Well,
first-time home
like
buyers?
overall, like certain aspects overall.
Price,
They want the best price, even in this market. They want the best price,
This house,
the perfect house, yes. And they want the least amount of problems. And at the right time. Because I have them all saying right now, is it going to drop? Are the prices going to drop next year? If I wait until next year, I don't know. If I had a crystal ball, I would be so rich with this market. But I have no idea. So I just tell them, the right time to buy is when you're ready to buy. Right now, the interest rates are low. Prices might be a little higher and we might go into multiples, but your interest rate is really low. And if you're ready to buy, then it's the right time for you. And how long are you going to stay in the house? Okay, so now if it's sellers, it's about netting in the most money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of problems. So in this market, it's been pretty good with that because the market's going up. But then you get hit with repair requests. So I always go through, when I'm sitting down with sellers, I go through all the paperwork with them that also a buyer is going to come with them. So if we're in a pinch and we have to go over something online, if I can't reach the seller, they will already know what to look for in the paperwork. And I always tell them it's not just the price that we're looking for, it's the terms. And our next step is going to be that repair request. Okay, so the phrase for both of them is the least amount of problems. So they really want to make sure that you're handling everything and don't come to them unless it's something you really cannot handle. Okay, so as a realtor, what are some of the problems you anticipate for your client that they could come across?
Or buyer or seller?
Let's say buyer. What are some of the issues you're working with now that you might come across for a buyer?
They don't have to respond to their request for repairs.
Mm-hmm. I actually tell that when we're filling out the offer. I said, this house is sold as is. Doesn't mean they have to do repairs. And if this is a line for you that you cannot cross, then we need to know when we put it in. Because they do not have to do anything. It's up to them. It's in their best interest to fix things because there are things that they don't know about. They're not doing this on purpose. But the repair request is your next big negotiation after the price. Price is a big one, especially right now when you're in a multiple. What about sellers? What do you think for them? What are some of the anticipated problems for sellers?
Get the best price.
It's getting the best price, the best terms. Yes, to get it all the way through close. And I always tell them also about the repair request. This could break the deal. You've got to decide if it's worth it in the end. So we are going to have a home inspection. There's never a perfect one. They're going to find something. And especially in this market when they're going, like I've had one go way over asking. I said, one of the terms we put in there is that it's not contingent on appraisal. But it is contingent on loan. It always has to be. So I said, even if it's not contingent on appraisal, they can come back for another reason. So we've got to discuss if we really want to hold them to not contingent on appraisal in the end, if they will, or we meet them halfway. Okay, so your value proposition distills your service offerings into a set of benefits for your client. It states what you do for the client to earn your commission and helps to explain the complexity of what you do. It also helps hold you accountable to high standards. So they're really going to want, I look at Redfin, I don't like to put it different. They pay their agents a fee. They don't get commission. They actually get a salary. So I compare, what do we do different from them? Because they have the website, they can go show them homes. How are we different from them? So I always compare myself. I am not on salary. I don't get paid unless I work for you and I do the best job possible because I get paid at the end. And that's the only way that I know it's worked out.
And then don't respond during the weekend also, as I noticed.
Yeah. So I am working for you because I really want this to work out. I want you to get the best home possible. I want you to get the best price possible. And I'm on your side all the way through to make sure that happens. Okay. So what do you see as your value proposition? What would you put if you were in front of somebody, let's say, as a buyer, because we have a lot of buyers out there right now. because we have so low inventory. What would you say your value proposition is if you were in front of a buyer? What would you do for them to make sure that they were happy, that you were working for them and you were earning your commission?
I'm a local expert,
Mm-hmm.
and I know the market, and I know what price, I know the number of the, the geographical, and
Yeah, what would you say?
Probably like, yeah, I check the market every single morning.
Mhm.
So I have a clear understanding of the market, the value, and so I can see a good deal versus not see, or see a good deal when there is one versus when there isn't one. I know a good
Good
amount of
doing this.
agents, and so I can understand like which agents and agencies can bring up complications. For example, like maybe not wanting to like get super involved with like Rex agency deals because of like what has been happening lately.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. And
Have you had to deal with one of those?
no, but I heard the horror story behind one of the agents in the office. Yeah, who got screwed over.
It's Rex. It was Purple Door, but I haven't seen Purple Bricks. I haven't seen them in a while. They were so hard when you would call. You would get a machine that you have to say when you want to see it. You don't get a person. It's like when something's broken and you want to get it fixed and nobody will answer the phone. Yes, press 1 for this. And I go, how? And you almost want to pick up the phone and call it and give it to the seller and go, this is what is happening. This is why your house is not showing. So no, it doesn't work in our community, I don't think. And I haven't seen Purple Bricks in a while. I've only seen 2 of them and haven't seen them recently at all. But Rex is very difficult to work with. Very difficult. So yes.
And then also if they're are kind of emphasizing that you're gonna be communicating with them weekly
Mhm.
and figuring out what is the preferred method of communication with them as well. And then if they're like an investor as well, really driving the numbers versus if they're like more first-time home buyers,
Mhm.
for a home, then sending more like photos and pictures and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. One of the things that I started doing, because I realized that a lot of people, even if they're not first-time home buyers, don't remember the paperwork, and our paperwork has changed so much. And in this market, with you having to get an offer in so fast, the first consultation I do with them is I print out all the paperwork they're going to have to sign initially. And I go over it with them and I give it to them to take home. I don't know if that's right, but I give it to them to take home. And I said, you go over it. If there are any questions, highlight them and we will answer them, because there is a good chance we're going to see a house. You want it. And we are not going to have time to go over each aspect of this. So I really want you to know this contract. And then all we'll have to negotiate are the numbers. You'll already know what's in here.
do you mean the buyer agreement?
For the buyers, I do that for the buyers, and for the seller, I let them know what they're going to be looking at. So when we go through, if there's multiple offers, we're not so confused about each contract. We'll know to look at the numbers and look where the check marks are as to what they're offering, and if they took away any contingencies or days. So one of the things is education. I think is a big value proposition of mine. And it helps save time on both ends, their end and my end, because they already know it. So I feel like the questions are out of the way. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Fiduciary versus fiduciary. Okay. Okay, so what is the difference? How are they different? Okay, from fiduciary versus fiduciary. Fiduciary, they say it's both an adjective and a noun. As an adjective, it refers to something dealing with trust, especially relationships. You have a fiduciary duty to your client to protect their best interest at all times, and that was in our test when we got our license. Because this can be the largest and most frightening transaction. It's not something they can go back to the store and give back. It's not something they can return, and that's what I always tell my clients. till the end, you got to make sure it's not something, we can put it back on the market the next day, but you're not going to make your money back because you're going to end up paying the fees. I say, so it's a big deal to make sure that you have their trust. And especially in today's market, because I have noticed with a lot of buyers, they are feeling that since it is such a seller's market, that maybe if they call the selling agent, they'll have a little bit more leadway in with the multiple offers. So you want to let them know that you really have their back no matter what. Okay, so now I do not have your guide, and they told me to look at page 5 in your participation guide. So I'm going to look over there. And they wanted you to
Got
do
a guide. Is there?
There is a guide. I'll read it to you so you'll know what it says. Okay, it says, consider the 3 aspects of service: purpose, value proposition, and fiduciary duty. How are these aspects already present in your relationship with your clients? How could you improve your service based on your understanding of these 3 aspects? And they wanted you to write them down, but you don't have one. We can always talk about it. So the 3 aspects of service: your purpose, your value proposition, and your fiduciary duty. So how are these aspects already present in your relationship with your client? First of all, how do you prospect? Are you mainly sphere of influence, like friends, family, groups you're in?
Yeah, it's right now. It's all sphere of influence because I'm new.
That's what I do too. So 99% of mine is sphere of influence. Every once in a while, somebody calls me that I don't know. And that's very unusual. So what is your value proposition to them? What is your purpose? And what is your duty? Your trust, especially in relationships. What would you put down? How would you improve your service based on your understanding of these aspects? What would you do with a seller? Let's say a seller. How would you improve your relationship to make sure you had this in it?
I'm not sure.
I know I looked through this, I read through this twice, and I read through it again today, and I kept going over it, and I go, I don't know how much I'm going to go off this. So, because when I look at that, and I didn't have this workbook till this morning. So fiduciary trust, I want them to trust me. So at all cost, I'm going to tell them everything.
I'm gonna be honest with them,
Mm-hmm.
everything up front, so they know what to expect.
What to expect, and if somebody, as for a seller, if somebody said something bad about the house, like it's dated, it needs flooring, I don't like the wall color, it might be their favorite color, and I know that. I'm still going to be honest with them and say this is not their taste. They feel like it's too much money right now to put into this house, and I have a house like that right now, that they love their house, but it is dated. So it's having a hard time selling in this market. So I was very honest. I said, in this market, everything's going in 7 to 10 days. The fact that your house is still sitting on the market shows that it is overpriced. All the feedback I'm getting is that it's not to their taste and it's dated for them and it needs work. So we should come down in price.
Or change the target group, like to go to the investor, or,
Yeah, in this market, everybody's seeing it. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
happens if they don't like it and then they?
Yeah, they can either update it, because we have stagers now, that they have a choice of, and they don't have to pay until they close if you do Zoom Casa. So they can update it, or they can, what you can also do is say, let's do this. Let's have the stager come in, price out what it costs to update it. Is it cheaper to update it and get the price that you want, or to just drop the price and not go through the hassle?
So give them an option.
Give them options, let them know they're in control, but you're just going to guide them. So that's some of the things that I do for this. And I've found that helps. It improves my base, because when I first started out, I was scared to tell them when somebody did not like their taste. I was afraid I was going to insult them. I said, how can I say this nicely? Because I'm always been like trying to be the nice person. So you can't do that. I've now found that if I'm very honest with them, then it shows up better. And usually they'll come around to what you're thinking. Okay. Okay, so we looked at page 5. So we're going to go on. Okay, so what a buyer wants. Did I go back? There it is. What a buyer wants. Okay, so they went over this. And they found that they did this whole study and they said, let's look at what a buyer wants. And it's everything you said. They want to find the right home to purchase. They want to negotiate the sale terms, help with price negotiations, and other. So this is what a buyer is looking for. So why are we talking about this in our conversation around our proposition or what we're offering them? Because as a buyer, the buyer's not paying our commission. So they could go to anybody. That's why sometimes they think, oh, we can just go to the selling agent and we'll get a lower price, which is not true. I always tell them, I said, if you go to the selling agent, their first obligation is to that seller because it could be their best friend. So you're not necessarily getting a lower price. They could getting a better price for their best friend. So now what do you think? And keeping in mind, you're looking at all this, most buyers need help with the paperwork, learning about their new neighborhood. I always will do a drive-by. I will say, we will go through the neighborhood, look at the homes. And I said the best way to know what the neighborhood really looks like well, I'm not sure about now, is to go at night, go on the weekends when they're not working. So you'll see if they have kids. Because if you want kids in the neighborhood, I can't say that. I have no idea who lives here. So go at night, go on the weekends, drive around and then let me know what neighborhoods you really think stand out for you. So when speaking with your client, you need to find out what the one important thing is for them so that you know that you cannot mess up on that. So buyer is the perfect location because they know they're not going to be able to change that house out. So perfect location, perfect price, perfect house with no issues. Seller usually is the best price possible. Sometimes they get emotional and they want to make sure a good person gets their house. Okay, let's go. Okay, so what buyers value? Okay, so when they're looking for an agent, they look at the reputation of the agent. If the agent is honest and trustworthy, the agent is friend or a family member, has knowledge of the neighborhood. So what do you think about this? Do you think all of this is true? How do they find out the reputation of an agent? You can Google reviews. Referrals. It might be a friend that referred them. And that reputation is going to be what the friend has given them. To find out if the agent is honest or trustworthy, it's also your reputation. So you want to make sure that this experience that you give them is down. This is the way I get my referrals. This is how I do my business. So I want to make sure it's perfect. It's not always perfect. I try and make sure as best to my ability, but there's going to be some hiccups in the road. And I tell them that. I said, it's sort of like an airplane. You go along and when the air mass drop down, that's when I'm going to tell you, we have some issues. It's not always going to be perfect, but I'm going to try and make it that way. Okay, so select one of the factors buyer values on page 6. We've got our workbook again. I'm sorry, you don't have your workbook, but I'll read it. Okay, so select one of the factor buyer values on page 6 and rephrase into language what you think the buyer wants to hear. Like the agent is honest and trustworthy. You can depend on me to help you with all decisions. This is what you would tell them. They're looking for honest and trustworthy, or I will work to serve your best interest. Okay, so now on page 6, let's see. Find the right home to purchase. The values, agent's experience, reputation of agent. How would you say agent is a friend or family member? You can say, I've worked with so-and-so. You can, I would love for you to call them and talk to them and see how their experience is with working with me. I'm referral based. I try to make sure this is the best experience possible because this is the only way that I get my business. How would you do knowledge of the neighborhood? How would you say it in the role model way?
School.
Mhm.
School. You can see on the app that we have.
Mhm.
We have like the statistic of people who live in the area. What is the, you can't say the income, you can say.
No,
You know.
no, we can't tell them who lives there.
More like we can like say something along the lines of like, oh, we've lived within the area for X amount of years, I've gotten to know a lot of people here, had the opportunity to like drive around the neighborhoods a lot, and so I definitely feel like.
Yeah, and if you know exactly where they're looking, I did relocation for 4 years. That's how I got in real estate. And when I knew that they were looking in a certain area and I had to take them around to show them, I would get out the day before and drive the area and find things. So when I was taking them around, I go, oh, there's a park right around the corner. I said, it's really great if they have kids. Your kids are going to love it. There are trails right up here. So I did my value proposition when I find out exactly where they're looking. Then I try and hone in and find certain things that they might not find on Google or something to make it a little bit different.
I would like to know them better, if the school is important to them.
Mm-hmm.
And because Thousand Oaks and Westlake Village has a better school than Los Angeles, the rating is very high.
And that's what I will tell them to go on greatschools.gov. So every address that we are looking at, if school is important to you, put that address in there and you'll find out what school you're going to be going to. And it will give you your ratings. It will let you know the position of the school because we're not really supposed to tell them all of the compositions of the schools and stuff. We can say they're great schools, but so that's a valuable. I like the greatschools.org, .gov. Okay, so now they said to break y'all into partners, but I don't think we can do that because it's too hard to do that right now. And they wanted y'all to practice on your buyers, what you would say for your proposition if you were doing a buyer's presentation, how you would ask them or let them know you were working for them. So I think that's a little bit harder for us to do. So we'll go on. But does anybody? How many people do we have up here, Michelle? I can't see. I think we just have Michelle. Okay. So if it was a buyer and I was sitting there doing a buyer presentation, I first introduce myself and I bring them back and I'll go, listen, it is so great to meet you. I'm so glad you chose me to work with. I just want to make sure I have everything correct. So can we go over the criteria of what you're looking for, what's really important to you? So we go through all the criteria. And I go, well, let me pull up a couple of homes, show you the inside, and you tell me if you like it or not. If this is something you like, style you like, the way the house is situated, do you need a bigger yard? Do you need a pool? Once we've narrowed it down, then I go, while we're out today, you might find the perfect house and we might have to write on the spot really fast. But I want you to understand the paperwork involved because this is not something I can return. And I want to make sure you're extremely pleased with it. And I go through all the paperwork. I said, I am here for you to answer every question. So I'm going to give you a copy. And if there is any issue, anything that you need to ask me, please go over and call me. You are my first person in charge. You are in charge. I am here for you.
So do you send them? I have a buyer presentation. It's called from Michael Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
So do you send them as a PDF form through the email?
No, I know that right now a lot of people are doing Zoom and doing virtual, but because mine's referral only, most of my people I meet in person. You could do it. I know Steve Hannaberry's been doing virtual presentations.
I mean, send through the email. Like
I print it out for them.
Yeah.
I print it out for them and I highlight. I highlight everything that I think that they need to look at. If this is something that we need to look at and decide upon, like the contingency periods, do we need to shorten them? How many offers do they have? Would it work for us to shorten the contingency periods? Make our inspection contingency 7 days. Let me call my inspector right now and see how fast he could get in first before we do that. Let me call the loan officer and see if we can do a loan contingency 14 days instead of 21. So I go through the contingency periods of what we should be looking for and the time periods. And then the last one is how long are we going to let them look at this offer? Because automatically it's 3 days. Well, if you give them the whole 3 days, they might get other offers in while you're going, and they might take one. They have the right to, and not even counter on yours. So I try and shorten that.
So do you ask for the pre-approval upfront?
Mm-hmm. I do that before I take them out. If I know that they pretty much, if I know them and I know they're pretty much approved, I might take them out, but I give them their homework. I want you to, do you have a lender? If you don't have somebody you work with, I have 2 to 3 lenders. Please call them. You can go ahead and look at each one and see what they have to offer, what the best deal is. I have been using, finding a great deal of success with Keller Mortgage. I have one person that I work with, so I don't have to have them call in and get multiple people each time. They have been giving the best interest rate so far, and they get $1,000 back at closing. And the big part, and we get back into that later, the value proposition to them using me is they can use Keller Mortgage. They can't use it unless they work with a Keller Williams agent or buy a Keller Williams house.
So how about investment property? I have a buyer right now, and she looked for the investment property. So how about Keller Mortgage with?
They will do investment. I don't know what their interest rate is on investment because I haven't had an investor use them yet. I have done it on first time on their primary residence. Well, yeah, it's mainly primary residence that I've used them on, and at refi. Refi is really good too. Okay. Okay, so now we've looked at what the buyers want. Now this is what the sellers want. Help seller market home to potential buyers, help price home competitively, help sell home within specific time frame, help find buyer for home, help with the negotiation and dealing with buyers. What do you think is the hardest here? My hardest one has been that pricing lately because the sellers have seen the market going up and then they want more than their neighbor and they go, well, let's do this. And I go, well, did you see where your neighbor started? And then it went up because of multiple offers. If you start that high, you might not get the multiple offer and it might not appraise. And do you want to start all over? So let's look at what it's worth and try and price it competitively. And there's a chance it might go into multiple and you might get more than your neighbor. But that's another conversation we have to have because we have to talk about appraisal because there have been appraisal issues. And then the sale with a specific time frame and help find the buyer for the home. So how would you say if your seller goes, well, right now it's sort of easy. I need to be gone in a month. How would you tell them? What are you going to do to help them be on their way?
Create on the calendar for them with all the time periods, so it's clear, what has to be done by when, so they can be out of.
Mm-hmm. And when you get those offers in, you categorize them. Some might be a 30-day escrow, some might be a 40-day escrow. You need to let them know which works best for them. You also need to know the market because if things are going pretty fast right now, we don't know what's going to happen in the new year. What if it slows down? And they go, I need to be out by a month. Mr. Seller, I am going to try my best to get you out in a month. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to market it. I have a very good tech program with Keller Williams. We have social media ads that we put out. We do mailings. We have over 350 agents. We have several offices in this area that we'll all go out to. I am going to do everything possible to make sure that you are on your way in a month. But in order to do that, I need to make sure that we are priced competitively. So that's the biggest thing is your pricing. I said, if you want to be out here in the month, let's make sure we're priced competitively and let's go through the comps and see what you are seeing.
What if you have a potential seller that's not in any hurry, and they want to test the market and see if they can get that higher price, and they have the time and they're not needing to move right away? Is that an okay strategy to sort of price on the higher end?
What I told them, I've had that happen. I did have that happen. I've had that happen several times. I'll say, you know what? I can show you where the market should be and where your house should be, but in the end, you pick the price. So why don't we do this? We can see right now, sellers are getting offers within a week. Now, if your house hasn't sold in a week, it means that we are too high. And the longer it sits on the market, the less people that are going to see it, because they're going to think something is wrong because every other house is going off the market really fast. Why isn't yours?
There's an infographic as well that kind of like shows like if your home doesn't sell within the first couple of weeks, like the price will start to go down and down and down. And so having them understand that if their home's not selling like immediately, basically, then it's priced wrong.
And you need to ask them also. So when you go out and look at a house that's been on the market for 3 weeks and you've seen all of this flying off the market, what are you thinking? That yes, it's a great value, I still want to put an offer in it? Or are you thinking it's a little high, I'm going to wait till they drop their offer? And do you want to chase the market down? I told my last one, I said, things are going really fast. If you price it correctly, there's a great chance you're getting multiple offers and you're going to get more than what you thought. And also, if you don't like the price, you do not have to accept the contract. You can just say no. In the end, it's up to you. It's not up to us. I can bring every offer to the table. It could be at asking price. And if you don't like it, just say no, I don't want to take it. So you have one like that right now?
Me?
Yes.
Yes, I do. It's my in-laws. So, so
Harder.
yeah, I know. So, I don't want to push them to sell, I feel I don't want to feel responsible. They have to do it when they're ready. But I think that, for them, it's a really good time to sell and
Yes.
downsize. And they're starting to think about where they might go. And so it sort of just feels like a good time to try to get the most that they can. So just trying to figure out every time I try to run a CMA, it's so different every time. And I don't know, there's a nuance to the pricing strategy that I don't understand yet. And I could sort of justify any price I come up with, I think. So it's really trying to understand that piece of it. So I don't know.
So I also believe they're going to get the best price right now, because I don't know what's going to happen after the election or the new year. If the coronavirus seems to wane out, if people are going to be, okay, I'm okay with my house. I'm not going to kill somebody in the house. So they do want to move. Have they brought it up to you that they want to move?
Yeah. We've been actively having conversations about it. I just haven't put a CMA in front of them because I can't. I want to have I want to feel confident in what I'm recommending that they can do before I do that. So
there's somebody in our office, Steve Gold. He's going to kill me. He was an appraiser before Yeah, he was an appraiser before he became an agent. So if you want to like call him, because every once in a while when I have a question like comparing a 1-story with a 2-story, I go, what's the price difference that you would take off from a 2-story to a 1-story? He would be able to give you a better understanding, especially in this market with it going everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
And he
That's-
might be able to give you, if they're motivated to sell, I really do think now is a really good time to do it because it's been really going crazy.
Yep.
But your in-laws are something, it's different. I know you have to walk on eggshells.
No, think of them more like my parents. So they're less of in-laws and more like parents. And so I feel like, more than a fiduciary responsibility to them. Like I would not want to do anything to harm them.
Oh, that's really sweet. That's really sweet. I like that. My in-laws are in Minnesota, so they're not here.
Oh.
So we're going to go to what sellers value. So when asked the most important factor in choosing a real estate agent, these are what the sellers came up with. The reputation of the agent, again, agent is honest and trustworthy. Is it a friend, a family member, and their experience? Okay, here they always do the line, if you're a new agent, you can always say, I have 20 years of experience within the office, because you have all of us to back you up. I'm surrounded by 20 years of experience or whatever it should be. So sometimes experience is not necessarily an issue. I think when I first started, I made it my issue more than anything else, because I was a little embarrassed when they asked, well, have you worked the area? There's ways around it, but I just got tongue tied. I had practiced that script that much. Agent is a friend or family member. I still feel as a friend, I really have to work to get that listing. Still, even if they're a friend, sometimes friends think, I don't know if I want to use a friend because I don't want to lose a friend. So you really have to go, business is business and friendship is something else. And I'm not going to get my feelings hurt if you feel that I'm not the agent for you. But I would really like to apply for the job. I know I can do it. So it works sometimes. I've had some friends that goes, I just can't do it. For one friend thought I would see their financials, which I don't see as a seller. I don't know how much money they're making. I know what they're selling. I don't know how much they're making. So I always go, that's very private. It's between you and your loan officer. If we buy something else, I'm not going to see it. I am here to protect you, and who would like to protect you more than me? So have you come across a situation with friends yet? Anybody? Well, you've got your in-laws, but have you come?
Friend doesn't use me. That's a problem. Because I was new.
And that's when you can go, you know what? I am new to the business, but I have 20 years of experience around me that are there to step in. And wouldn't it be great to have all those people working for you through me?
I'm on like on a class.
Is that?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh, this is okay. So have you run into anything with friends yet?
Because I'm on the younger side, no friends are really in that demographic yet, so it's more like try and market to parents.
Oh, yeah.
So it's more along that line, but even then, a little difficult because both parents are attorneys, one of them being a divorce attorney.
Oh,
So
wow.
that can be a great source, but
That's a great source.
a little more like experience, designation, all the bells and whistles that shows.
Mm-hmm.
You can sell their house when
I would see that with attorneys. I would, because they like all their I's dotted, their T's crossed. They're very meticulous about paperwork, and they want to see that you have some training, which you are doing, but they want to see, they want to see some end results first.
Sphere right now is not the best for marketing with me right
What
now.
age group is your sphere?
More from 18 to 25.
it's a little bit harder. But at 25, they were probably having their first jobs after at college or whatever. It's like, what a way to invest.
Exactly. And so I'm trying to actually go more off that, like explaining how real estate can be a great like vessel for wealth building and all that, especially towards people who are in my demographic. So like it's getting them excited about home ownership and kind of making them remember me.
Why? I think one of the people told me when I first started, they were like, well, look at all the majority of the millionaires, how they got rich. It was real estate. I was like, yeah, all real estate. So, you tell it because your friends are younger, they should be thinking about that. And even if it's starting off with a little townhome, if you found something that's a big bargain and your friend's been saving money, go, hey, this is a great deal and this is a step up. Think about in 5 years, you're going to have your equity in this and you can move up to something different. So, and you can always get roommates and it'll pay for itself. Yeah. Think about it. So another thing that you can offer your sellers, the value of your sellers, is the services that you can proclaim for them, like staging, handyman, electrician, plumber. So if you don't know a lot of these people, just ask people around the office, like, who do you use? Because we've been doing it a while, that we know people that we like, people we don't, people that we think charge too much, people that will drop things for you and come in a moment's notice. So I've noticed that a lot of my buyers and sellers, I'm starting to get text, hey, I need an electrician. I thought I'd call you. So it's just nice that they think of you, even in that way. You know that you're on their mind. So go ahead and get like a whole, well, not Rolodex, but just a whole field, put it in. I think that I don't have it in my website because I like for them to call me because I like to hear from them. But that you have a page on your website that you can build for services. And then you can always refer them to your website to go through there. Just make sure you really check them out, because I had one that I thought was really good. And then my seller called me and said, oh, it was a really bad experience. And it's like, tell me what happened. So I said, you know what? I've never had that happen and I want to make it right. So tell me what happened, because if it wasn't good for you, I don't want it to be bad for somebody else.
Yeah, I was told that you should give them like 3 vendors,
Mm-hmm.
And make them choose themselves. If something go wrong, it's not your fault.
I know. And I always say interview. I said, I've got these vendors and you interview them to see which one will give you the best price, which one listens to you. Because we were doing staging and she only wanted to do the main rooms. And then a couple of them were like, she wanted to do the kitchen, the living room, the dining room, the master bedroom, the family room. And they were trying to talk her into doing the whole house. And that's not what she wanted to pay for, because she's like, I don't want to pay for everything because I don't want to spend all my money on staging. And she's like, I just felt they didn't listen to me. So that's when I had to call and go, when my client calls, we've already discussed it, and we wanted to do the main rooms, and I understand that you will give them a discount doing the rest, but it's still spending money that they didn't want to spend. So you just sort of say, let me take care of it for you. So go ahead, and I would get a vendor list. I would start asking around the office. And then even like with you starting out with the parents, they go, oh, something's out. I go, oh, I have an electrician. I have a plumber.
You can put all from next door also. Next door they have like a business, and then people always review.
Yeah, Yelp is really good. I know my daughter always uses Yelp. So when we're looking at here, we know most of us are probably new in the industry and we're getting started. And gosh, what a time to get started in COVID. So, I'm sorry, because I started doing open houses. I door knocked. It's not anything you can do. No open houses, no door knocking. No. So you almost have to do a lot of virtual stuff, a lot of social media. A good person to talk to about the social media aspect of it is Elizabeth Kamen. Does a lot of social media to promote herself. I would talk to her, and I'm going to try and get her a class in here too. It would be great. I think the social media part of it, because she has people, contact her all the time, other agents too, out of state, because she's constantly on there. So look her up, because I think hers is open. Okay, so who do you think in this area would be your biggest competitor, not Keller Williams? And how do you think that you would, if you were up against one, how would you counter them? Not like a biggest competitor like Redfin, EXP, because when you come, I know in my area, I live in Dos Santos, we have one set of agents that do it at 1%. And so that's my biggest competitor, because of course the seller is going to want to make the most money. They see paying 1% is the most money. They don't have the best reputation. I say, listen, I know that you want the most money for your house. You want to net the most. And I totally understand that. And I am here to make sure that you make that. I'm going to do it with integrity, honesty, and I will always be on your side. I will always keep you informed of what's going on. I will make sure that the buyer stays on track. I will vet the buyer. We will make sure that they are pre-qualified, they have the money to put down, and that we can close. Because I do know the 1% person has fallen out of escrow a couple of times because they never vetted the buyers. so if you know your competition and know some of their weaknesses, you can bring that to the plate. So, and they know that has been an issue in the past. So I was like, okay, always remember, know your competition, know what some of their weaknesses are. And you don't have to mention them by name, because I don't like to do that. I just bring it, I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and this. And it just makes you look a little bit better. Okay, so we're getting towards the end. It's okay, they want, let me go to the distinguish yourself. Who are your competitors? We went over there. Oh, the technology. They said in a way to distinguish yourself, we'll go back, is mentioning the technology that you have for them. I'm still not a great fan of this. It's a little bit harder for me to use. And I figure if it's hard for me to use, it's going to be hard for them to use. If I have to take a class to be able to use this, there's a problem, because my client's going to have to take one too.
I think it's about the system that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. It's not about you.
Mm-hmm.
The user is,
So I do love the Keller Mortgage. I tell them that all the time. The Keller Mortgage is great. Right now, we don't have the Keller Insurance Program, but I'm sure it's going to be just as great as Keller Mortgage when we do get it. So that'll be something that we'll be able to tout to everybody. We are a tech-based company. I tell them that we are a tech-based company. I take classes all the time on tech, learning a new way to promote your listing, your house, or find you a house.
some information when I look into it, some house that show that okay active, but when I check on the MLS, it's like sold 4 or 5 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I never keep, now I don't keep it anything.
And I do have to say, it will do on that, but it will also do on Zillow. Because I had somebody call me from Zillow asking about my listing, and I was like, what? I go, is that house back on the market? I sold it a year ago. And I ran to look, and I was like, no. I was like, I was going to be mad if they left and didn't use me. But no, so it happens it slips through the crack. It happens with all systems. Okay, so I think I went. Okay, so our value proposition was our activity. Okay, so distinguishing yourself. A value proposition isn't just something you say, it's something you deliver on. Now that you're able to explain your values proposition, how do you apply it? There. Now I've got to go where went through it. Okay, so what I try to do don't always work, but even with my friends, I know that my ultimate thing is my business. So I try to distinguish myself by being very knowledgeable about the area, even around them. I also try and keep my clients' information personal and to myself. So when they ask who's buying this house, I go, I'm not at liberty to say right now because you don't know if they want everybody to know that they're moving in. I don't post it on Facebook. I post the house. I don't post who they are. Say, I'm so happy my client's got a new home and I'm going to be doing one today because I just found out her fiance, they went to go view the home and he proposed at it. And it closed today. So I'm like all excited. I'm going to take champagne. She goes, he proposed to me when we went to go look when I went to show it to him. So I was like really excited. So I know we'll post that, but I'm not going to post their names. So I want them to know that they can trust me with anything. I always say, I'm like a doctor. Whatever you tell me, I'm not going to tell somebody else. And so that's how I like to distinguish myself, to say I have integrity. I have your best interests at heart. And if you're buying a house, you haven't told anybody yet, that's going to be your story to tell. I'm not going to do it. But I do want you to review me when everybody finds out. And I also always make sure that I know the market, especially with my friends, because it's the first thing they ask me, especially when they're thinking about buying or selling. They'll go, so what do you think the market's like? And you're like, oh. He's like, I thought I was off today. You're never off. I just walked to Target to get a plant because I have to stage something after this class. And it's where you can hear people, when it's your business. I heard somebody going, yes, I just got an apartment. I think I'm going to buy next year. And I'm like, back up. I know, hi. So you start noticing those things. So what qualifies you as an excellent real estate experience? So they want to know, what do you think would qualify you as an excellent real estate experience to you, like your friends, family? What's going to qualify you to that attorney? First, being on time, being punctual, making sure you know the contract inside and out, because they do. They do. They're going to ask you questions that I would go, what? We had one attorney take the contract and he wrote all through it, a card form. You can't do that. I don't agree to that. I don't agree to that. And he was a buyer. And I go, well, the seller's not going to agree to sell to you if you keep doing that. So that's going to happen. You need to develop relationships with businesses. You'd be surprised what your clients ask you. It turns out my pediatrician, I had a client call me and she goes, I hate my pediatrician. I can't stand him. I go, well, I have one. And I really love him, but he's in Camarillo. I said, but I'll never change. I don't live there anymore, but she went down there. She goes, I'll never change. You gave me the best referrals. It's pediatrician, dentist, hair, nails. It's not just for their house, it's for their personal lives too. I will always get calls. So who do you go to? I had a foot doctor and I was like, oh, guess what? I did have issues because I was a runner. So I had ankle problems. I go, I do have a foot doctor. So it's amazing. And then if I can't find it, I have a whole group of friends. I go, hey, I'm looking for this. Who would you recommend? And I'll have them all. And it turns out a lot of the same people. I'll say, you know what? I don't know one, but I asked my group and this is who they're saying. So let me know if you like them, because if you like them, I'm going to put them on my list. Oh, and another thing I did to develop a list, I do never ending referrals. It's a class you can take. I love that class. I called a lot of friends, parents, people I know, and go, listen, I'm trying to develop a list of vendors for my clients. And I was just wondering, who did you have that you had an A+ experience with that I can put on the list? I'm looking for a car person right now. You can say lawyer. Since he's a lawyer, I'm looking for a real estate attorney. And I know you know a lot of attorneys. Who would you use for a real estate attorney? And then say, well, I'm going to put that on my list. Do you mind if I call him and just introduce myself? So if my clients call him, that he'll already know my name. So that's a great referral base. If you're doing a referral-based business, for them to start calling you for their services, it is amazing.
And what was the name of that class again? Like,
Never ending referrals. Okay, you can get a subscription and it's $35 a month, or you can buy it and I think it's $199 for 8 weeks. I decided to do $35 a month, and I just keep taking it over and over because they always change it, and they have a lot of scripts, and they changed it for COVID and they're changing it from coming out of COVID. I really like the people that teach it. And I learned it's every Monday. It's 10:30 to 11:30 is when I take it. And it's through MAPS coaching. And Terry and them, if they don't have that $35 special because they did it during Bold, I know they still have it. It might not be online, but you can ask one of them up front. Okay, so we did, this is the recap. See, I knew I was going to go through it fast. So this is our recap, I say. So the goal of our time together is to help you think about the experience you want to give your clients. Your value proposition, how to articulate it to them, how to get it across, not just articulate it, but to get across that they feel that they're getting value for the money that they are spending. Even a buyer. I know the buyer is not paying the commission, but they can at any moment meet somebody else and they go, no, use my friend. You want them to say, no, I love my agent. There is no way I'm not going to use them. So we need to find out how to articulate that, what you're doing for them. I'll tell my story. I just got a new client. There's an agent, he's not in our office. I'm not going to say names, but he's a bigger agent and they were working with him. And they were looking at a house, and it was her husband. He thinks it's his dream home, and it was 1.28. But they knew, well, we can't do 1.28. We might have to walk away. Maybe we can work it out, but we're not sure. Know the market. You know that this is going to go into multiples. So the agent talked him into doing 1.2. It upset the seller so bad that they would not even take their counteroffer, and this was their dream home. So they fired the agent. And they called, my friend called me and said, they really want you to help them. So they have this house that is closing this week, which I still feel bad. They go, can you approach them to see if the new buyers will sell it to us? I go, I don't see that happening, but we're going to, I know. I said, well, you know what? I will call their agent as soon as I find out, because when it closes, it'll be on the MLS, and I will call them and see why they bought it, if it's their dream home also. But this is going to be, they can go up to 1.3 million now, and they're non-contingent, but they also have a home to sell that they want to sell at least 2 months after they move in. So it's 2 sales because the agent that was helping them did not really educate them on the market, saying you need to be closer to their asking price or you won't get it. So to be very honest, don't do what they want to hear. Tell them the truth and let them know. Okay, so we have any ahas about your experience? We're a little early.
idea that like both buyers and sellers want to least set up problems as possible.
Mm-hmm. You know, your biggest compliment, and I've had it happen twice, 2 of my clients decided to be realtors because they thought it was so easy. And it took 2 months of them having their licenses. They both fell out. They go, they're not coming to me. And they go, you made it look so easy. I go, it's my job to make it look so easy. And that's why I have a large wine collection. I go, it drives, sometimes I'm just like want to scream. And I said, it is my job to make it, to take the stress off you, because it shouldn't be stressful when you're doing your job. So, but yeah, 2 of my clients, they're not realtors now, and they go, I just thought it was going to be fun and easy. And I was going to tell everybody that I was a realtor, and they're going to go and flock. And I go, there's a lot more work than that.
Everybody thought that, you earn a lot of money because like 2.5% off the selling price.
Mm-hmm. You work a long time for some of those. You could be, the client I'm working with now, her first home, they're both doctors, 5 years. They were my relocation. I met them when I did relocation. 5 years to sell them their first house. And I knew it would take a long time. They wanted to find the perfect house. We finally did. And 4 years later, he got transferred to Temecula. I tried to refer it out. and they're both doctors, same thing, the I's, the T's, they read every contract. She would not use an agent there. And she goes, do you know Temecula? And I go, I do, because I have friends there. And she goes, can you sell here? I go, yes, we're all on the same box. We're all super boxes and everything. She goes, okay. She goes, will you come down here and sell it to me? And I went, crap. So we're in escrow. We're supposed to close next week. So, but that's one of your biggest compliments is when they don't want to leave you. It's awesome. When you can't refer them out, they say it's not the same. I really like that. Mm-hmm.
It seems like the successful agents are mostly referral at this point.
Well, right now you almost have to be. I mean, I get a lot of stuff. I live in Dos Vientos. I get agents postcards every day. I get like 3 to 4 every single day. And the cute ones I take out and I go, hey, this one's not bad. Maybe I'll think about doing that. But I have a coach, a MAPS coach, and I talked to her. She goes, what do you want to do? I go, I don't want to do the postcards to an area. You have to do that. I door knocked for 2 years and did not get one thing. You really have to do it a long period of time before it pays off. I've decided that I am going to send postcards to the people I know, so they know I'm always working. So, because I need to touch them and I can't call them every month. So I figured if I do the postcards and I call and talk to them, and if we do lunches or we get together, or I do a hiking group, a book club, we do a wine pickup party. And I said, if I do all of these things with them, plus the postcards, they always know I'm working. So, find something that works for you, but referral base works for me. I'm not a cold call person. The first time I picked up the phone to call somebody, because they made us do it in here, and I picked it up and they answered the phone. I said, oh, I'm so sorry, I have the wrong number. And I hung up and I just left. I can't do this. So, okay. And if you have any questions, let me know. I think that's it. Ahas to achievement.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's my first class. They taught me into teaching. I was like, I don't know. I said, I don't know if I'd be good at teaching.
You did good. Thank you.
Thank you. I do a lot of events. That is my big thing with my clients. And I do drop-offs, because if you do referral base, I started at the beginning at first, but I felt like it just I didn't like all the things they did. So my coach is an events person. So for Halloween, I found pumpkins at Walmart. They were like $4.25. So I bought pumpkins for everybody I knew, and I put my tag on it and said I'd be glad to carve out time for your referrals. When I wrote and I just dropped it off, I said I got a pumpkin for everybody. And I did the quarantine when COVID started. I said, I know this won't help a lot, but I'm at least it'll give it a shot. And Amy wrote on glasses for me and it said quarantining, a little sip at a time. And I did pineapple juice, vodka, and a little spritz from it. And people were posting it on Facebook, and I couldn't believe it. I thought that was the cutest thing. And I found it on Pinterest. I find a lot of things on
I find a
Pinterest.
lot of things on Pinterest.
I know. So you can find so much on Pinterest. You don't even have to just rip off and reuse.
Yeah.
I believe in that. And my daughter has a place in Denver, so I go to Denver a lot. So I met up with I took Golden Denver. So I got a lot of their ideas and I brought them back here because, you know what, I'm not competing with them.
Yeah.
And so I give them mine. I gave them the quarantining stuff, and I gave them, what's the other one I did? Oh, I did the peeps for Easter. I said, I'm glad to have you as one of my peeps. And I had a little Easter basket with the peeps, and I dropped it off.
I like that. People remember that.
And you know what? I spend maybe $4 or $5, just dollar store, you can get so much, $4 or $5 for each thing. The Quarantini was the most expensive because I used the Tito vodka. So it's Quarantino, so for the tea. But that one was really fun. But I got the glasses at the dollar store and Amy wrote all the stuff on them. Yeah. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And then people just talk and you laugh with it. They're like, I needed that so much.
But that's the point.
I said, I'll bring more. And then I've now got 6 clients that are pregnant through all of this, so
Oh,
I called their husbands. I said, you know what, through all of this, they're having to stay at home and they're teaching the kids. What do they really like? I'd love to drop off something for them. And it was hilarious because one lady, she's a nurse, her husband's an ICU nurse. She was sick the whole time, and the first one had to do she had to do IVs for her, and this time he's having to do IVs because the only thing she can eat is Skittles. It's the only thing that stays down. So I bought her a whole basket of Skittles and took it to her.
That's really good.
So, you know, it keeps it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's fun. So yes, if y'all want any ideas or anything, let me know. Patrick will tell you, I'm always out there trying to think of something. But I think working off him and saying, listen, I'm looking for a real estate attorney, and you know everybody. Who do you think is the best?
Yep.
I'd like to introduce myself to him so I can use him, and when my clients call, he'll know he will know who I am.
Yeah. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thanks.
Thank you, Michael.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, yeah.
I'm good. How's the buyer or the possible buyers coming along, right?
Which one?
The ones that we're looking for, the ones in Porter Ranch.
Porter Ranch. She didn't qualify.
Didn't qualify.
No, she's not. She looked, what I learned, when people look for I did lease also.
Mhm.
Firstly, with City, they said, oh, they want $10,000 home, $10,000 per month lease.
Yeah.
And when I look at the FICO score, after I, try to connect with them, the FICO score is low. But some people look for $3,000 home, but the FICO score is high. So, like 850. So that's
Oh.
tell me something.
Yeah, security.
Yes, some people don't